Hey guys, my name's Kim and this is my channel Expedition Through Pages. I hope everyone is doing well. Today I thought I'd do like a midway month April kind of wrap up because I've read a few books. So rather than having a really long video at the end of the month, I thought I'd do one now and then do another one at the end of the month. I've read 3 books so far and I'm very close to finishing the 4th one, and that 4th one is going to be my 2nd book from my TBR trail as well. So that seems to be going okay. Today's the 21st of April though, so I still do have 1 book and then part of another book to read to complete TBR trail. So hopefully I'll be able to do it, but I'm not sure yet. So the first book I finished this month was The Quantum Universe, Everything That Can Happen Does Happen by Brian Cox and Jeff Forshaw. Can you see that? My camera seems to be really funny with the light at the moment, so sorry if it's a bit whited out. I don't really know what's going on. But yes, so this book is all about quantum theory. So what the 2 authors try to do is take you step by step through the process of trying to understand the consequences of quantum physics. Does that make sense? But what I mean by that is they don't just tell you the outcomes and what quantum physics actually says, like the rules of quantum physics. They don't go over that directly. They kind of step you through it so you can see why the concepts are what they are and why the rules are what they are, as much as you can with quantum physics. Like a lot of this stuff, it seems so counterintuitive, and it is so counterintuitive and doesn't make sense to kind of like our perceptions of the world when you go down to the very small, and when quantum rules overtake Newtonian rules, which is what we're much more used to. Weird things happen, really weird things happen. And if you don't know anything about quantum theory, I really recommend just like looking into it a little bit. I am going to suggest a different book to this at the end that I found useful when I didn't know anything at all about physics, and that really blew my mind and opened me up to like this whole world that I didn't know existed. It's really cool. But anyway, so they kind of piece you through everything. So they talk about what is actually a particle, the fact that light and particles behave both as particles and as waves, like simultaneously. It depends how you observe them as to what effect you see at that particular time. So they just don't really work how you would imagine they work. One of my kind of gripes with this book, well, I mean, I kind of see what they were doing, but they use this analogy of clocks to imagine the movement of particles and the probability of particles. And I think like I did just about grasp what was going on, but I have a background in physics. I did a quantum physics module at university. I did really struggle with it. I didn't find it that easy, but I feel like because of my background, I could kind of hold on to what they were saying, and at least by kind of the end of the book I kind of had more of an idea of what was going on. But I did read some reviews where people were totally baffled by it, and I was very confused for a long time as well when I was reading it. I was like, where are they going with this clock thing? It was kind of hurting my brain a bit, and it's kind of a bit of a shame because it's quite difficult to grasp, and they come back to it again and again using the same analogy. So if you haven't grasped it the first time and they keep coming back to it, you just, you know, you go along with the story and go along with the process, and then you're dragged back to these clocks again and you're like, no, I don't understand the clocks. So that I can see might be frustrating for some people. My favourite chapter in this book was probably the chapter about how transistors work and all the fundamental physics of that, and I really enjoyed that chapter. I really liked it a lot. The other part of the book that I liked was actually the epilogue right at the end. It's called The Death of a Star. At the end of some star's life, like our sun, it will eventually turn into a white dwarf, and if a star's too big, that won't happen, something else will happen to it. But you have to use quantum physics in order to calculate what that maximum mass is. And the fact that we have that maximum mass, and then you can look out, or astronomers look out into the sky, and they see these white dwarf stars, and they can actually calculate their masses, and they've never found one above that mass. So that's like huge evidence to show physicists are kind of on the right track with all this stuff. So I really like the fact that they told you all this crazy stuff, and that particles are everywhere all at once, and that particles can talk to every other particle in the universe like all the time, constantly, and if one particle changes state, another particle has to shift. Like, it's all crazy stuff, but then they back it up with this story of the maximum mass of a white dwarf and how you need quantum physics. At least as far as our knowledge goes, you need quantum physics for that to happen, so that kind of backs up quantum theory. So personally, I did quite enjoy this. I would give it like about a 3-star. I mean, what kind of did it down for me is that I felt like sometimes the authors could, or the writing was a little condescending and off-putting. For instance, I did mark it so I could tell you about it. But at one point they say just things like, as we have been at pains to emphasize, blah, 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 blah. And it's that kind of, okay, I'm saying it in a narky way, but I've always found with learning anything, if you aren't grasping something and then the person trying to teach you is like, I've already explained this a million times, you should know it by now. I think there's nicer ways to say stuff. And I'm probably being completely hypocritical here because I always use the word obviously, and I don't mean to, but I say it a lot in my general speaking, and certainly I think on this channel I've said obviously a lot. So I am being a little bit hypocritical here, but I think when you're a teacher and you're trying to tell somebody something, if you use the word obviously, well, at all, but like I feel like it makes the student feel really stupid if they haven't grasped what you're trying to say. And there was one particular paragraph in here, or page in here, where they said obviously quite a lot, and I was like, actually it wasn't obvious to me, so now I feel stupid. Do you know what I mean? So that was like my gripe, was the general like vibe of the book, and it's kind of made me think, do I want to read something else? I do actually have more books by Brian Cox, so I will read them because I have them, but it did kind of put me off the writing style a little bit. The other thing I will say is, like I've already mentioned, there is maths in this. You kind of can't avoid it, but most of the book there's not huge amounts, and it only kind of like becomes more at the end when you're talking about the death of the star. Like the epilogue bit had a lot more maths in, but it wasn't like really complicated maths. I just think if you're not familiar with any physics terms or any maths at all, then you might not enjoy this because it's quite maths heavy. But if you kind of if you can do algebra, like rearranging equations, and you're comfortable with like exponents and stuff like that, then I think you'll probably be fine. But to be honest, if you don't know, you probably be all right. It just might take a bit of extra like looking things up and working out what certain terms mean, or you know, might take a bit longer to go through. I'm just saying that because I think if I had read this before I went to uni to study physics, I think I would have been a bit put off, or not put off, but like I don't think I would have grasped what they were saying because I just didn't have the tools to grasp the information with, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so I wanted to take the opportunity to recommend Quantum Theory Cannot Hurt You by Marcus Chown if you are interested in quantum physics. I read this when I was 25, so I didn't really know anything about science. I wasn't a science person. I didn't really like it particularly. I didn't give it much thought. I like the stars and astronomy, but I didn't really give it much thought. I certainly didn't like physics, but someone I knew gave me the book to read and it blew my mind. I'm kind of hesitant to recommend it because I haven't read it for so long, but all I know is that when I didn't know anything about physics or maths or anything, and I read that book and it blew my mind. So if you are at all interested in this area but you don't really know much about it at all, then maybe start with that and see what you think. And then let me know if you do read it, because I'd love to know if it still kind of holds up now. I should really reread it. I do want to reread it. But now like I'll have such a different perspective on it that I probably won't have anywhere near the magic that it did when I first read it, which is a shame. Okay, so next up I read The Martian by Andy Weir. And this was narrated by Will Wheaton. I listened to it on Audible and I absolutely loved this so much. I really loved it. So if you don't know what The Martian is, you're basically following a guy called Mark Watney who has been abandoned on Mars. I say abandoned on Mars. Basically, he was up there working with his crew on a mission, and then very early on in the mission something goes wrong and they have to escape from Mars to cut their mission short. There's big storms and everything. But while they're trying to escape, he actually gets hit by some debris and his crew think that he's dead, so they leave without him. Nothing they can do. But it turns out he's not dead. He's just on his own on Mars, and he goes into the hab, which is where they do all their experiments and everything like that, and he has to just try and figure out what the hell to do, like how he can make the food last, because he knows that the next mission is going to be in 4 years. So he's kind of, first of all, starts working off that, like, well, okay, well, if the next people are going to be here in 4 years' time, can I survive for 4 years? And it kind of goes on from there. You don't only get Mark Watney's perspective, you also get this perspective of what's happening down on Earth and what NASA are kind of finding out and what they're seeing. You also get a bit of the crew on their way back to Earth, the crew that left him, and then you also get these little chapters that are like just little insights into what's actually going on with the equipment. So if something's gonna go wrong, then you get a bit of kind of what's actually happening before it happens. So you get that sense of dread of like, oh no, something's going to happen to him, which I really liked. I thought that was done really well. I just think this was such a clever novel, and I just would love to know how Andy Weir wrote it. Like, did he just say, oh, imagine, oh, someone's left on Mars, and then go, okay, what equipment would they have if they had sent people to Mars, like, and then just work systematically through what he would do? Or if he, like, yeah, I don't know how else you'd do it. But yeah, it just fascinates me because it's so well thought out. Every little minute detail, you work through most of it with Mark Watney. He explains everything to you and the physics of what he's doing and stuff. It's just really cool. It was just really fun. I did like Will Wheaton as a narrator. He was a little bit OTT sometimes. Like, I was like, okay, mate, calm down. Don't shout in my ear. But on the whole, I think it was really good. I think he did a really good job. And he was very like upbeat, and I found it just really inspiring. Every time I listened to it, I would laugh. And even in the difficult moments when Mark is trying to work out what to do, I was interested in what was going on. It had an energy to it, which I really liked. And it was funny because after I finished the book, I was really wanting to watch the film. So we watched it the other night. And I said to my boyfriend, like, I remember this film being more upbeat than it is watching it back. Because I think in comparison to the book, it has a bit more of a melancholy tone to it. And I don't know if that's just because Will Wheaton was so overexcited in his narration that his excitement came through. So it's kind of his personality injected into the characters with how they were talking, or Mark Watney. But I did find it was a little bit more depressing, the film, than the book was. And also they changed the ending, which I didn't like. But yeah, I thought that was a weird thing. After reading the book, it was odd. An odd choice, I thought, but that's Hollywood. They always change things, don't they? Yeah, so anyway, I can highly recommend that if you like sci-fi and you like kind of that, if you think it sounds like up your street, then I think it's just really, really well done book, and I thoroughly enjoyed it and would happily listen to it again. And I gave that one 5 stars. Okay, so next up I finished Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier. I read this for my friends and family book club that we do, and I enjoyed this one as well, actually. This one was fun. This is set in the 17th century, so it's quite far back, but it was written in 1941, so it's kind of like a historical fiction, but it was written quite a long time ago. Which I didn't realise, actually. I thought it was written in like the 1800s, but it wasn't. But yeah, so you're following Donna, who's living in London. She's like part of the aristocracy. I never really know how to say that word. She's pretty fed up with her life, to be honest. Her husband irritates her. Her husband's friend irritates her. She's bored. She's done some questionable things that she wants to kind of try and forget about. She wants to live a quiet life. She just wants to escape, basically. She just wants to just be left alone. So she ends up saying to her husband, I need a break. I need to go. I'm going to go to our house in Cornwall and you're not coming. So she takes her 2 kids and she goes down to Cornwall. And there she just starts like living it up. She's just like spending loads of time outside. She plays with her kids. She's got a nanny there to look after the kids as well. So she can really just like relax and chill. And it's just what she needed. I do like Donna. Like, she's so harsh. She's brutal in her opinions of people and she just doesn't care. And it's hilarious. I found that quite funny. Actually, I will say, I listened to this on audio as well. I listened to it on Scribd. And the narrator was a guy called John Castle. And he was excellent. Like, I really liked it. And I think because of the personalities he injected into the characters really helped me enjoy this book a lot. So I would recommend the audiobook for this one, definitely. But yeah, go back to the plot. So while she's there, she finds out from the residents that actually there's a pirate in the area and he's been stealing their stuff, and they're really irate about it. And she ends up coming into contact with these pirates and becoming more friendly with them than the residents would want her to be. And the story kind of goes on from there, and it's kind of about Donna. You know, she's frustrated, she's a woman, she's not allowed a venture, she's very kind of confined to her place as a wife and a mother, and she's fed up with all of that. So the book is about her kind of finding herself through more adventure, but also, you know, she loves her children and she wants to be with them as well. So there's this like kind of back and forth pull with her, and like, what is she going to do? Because she wants things to change, basically. And I won't say any more than that. But yeah, the only thing I would say about this book is that the pirates are from France, and the tone of which the characters speak about the French is awful. And I know that it's like probably true of the time of how they spoke about them. But yeah, I just found it really uncomfortable to read. And I know that it was like kind of part of the story is the fact that they are so awful about the French. But to be honest, some of the language that Daphne du Maurier used as well to describe characteristics of one of the French people, I didn't like. So yeah, there was that aspect to it as well, which was uncomfortable. But I did really enjoy the story a lot. Like, it was so action-packed, and I felt like things were thrown in, like, it didn't really go in the way I expected it to go, and I was shocked a couple of times when things happened. I couldn't predict it at all. It was just like a fun novel and just action-packed. So yeah, I would recommend it if you're looking for that and you like reading about pirates. Did make me want to go on a boat, I have to say. Didn't make me want to be a pirate, but yeah, it was good. I think I gave it 4 stars in the end, 3 or 4 stars. Yeah, and I really, really want to read Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca and her other work because I thought the writing style was really good. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so those are the 3 books that I've read so far, and I'm so close to finishing this one here, which is The Girl You Left Behind by Jojo Moyes. So I'll talk more about this in my next one, my next wrap up for April. But yeah, I'm on page 286 for this one. I was going to talk about this one now, but I think I've talked too long, so I'm going to save this for next time. But yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it, but I'm not, like, I think when I read it, I'm interested in what's going on, but then I'm not like, I really want to carry on, you know? Which is a shame. And the other book that I'm also reading at the moment, which, not gonna lie, loving, is Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb. So this is book 1 of the Tawny Man trilogy, and it's part of the Realm of the Elderlings books that I'm reading at the moment. And yeah, it's just so nice to be back into this world. I missed it, and yeah, I'm just absolutely loving it. But yeah, I can't actually say too much about this because it's obviously, even though it's its own trilogy, it's off the back of other trilogies, so I wouldn't want to spoil anything. But I'll try and tell you my final thoughts when I finish it in the next video. I'm just over, I think, 150 pages into this. I'm a bit further than that pink sticker because I'm listening to it as well as reading it. So yeah, but I'm finding things out about the characters. I'm hearing from characters that I love, and it's just so nice to be back in this world. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But yes, that's everything for this video. Next time I'm going to be also letting you know how I did overall with TBR Trail for the month of April. So I'll let you know if I fail or if I win that one. Hopefully I win. Yeah, so let me know how you guys are doing. How's your reading going in April? I hope everything's good with you as well. Okay guys, so that is everything. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.